In the studio with us now, we have former Portsmouth North MP Syd Rapson. Last July, he was awarded the prestigious Freedom of the City in recognition of his work in the community. And he's here to tell us more. So welcome, Syd.
Thank you very much.
Hello. So, Freedom of the City sounds so exciting. What actually is it?
Well, it's the highest civic honour that the City Council can bestow on anyone, and they do it very rarely. I think the last recipient was Harry Redknapp in the Portsmouth football team, so I'm in pretty good company. Jim Callaghan, Winston Churchill, loads of real dignitaries. So it's a high honour, and it's a sort of insular thing. I've been a councillor for many, many years. I've served 45 years in public life as a Member of Parliament, a county councillor, city councillor, and it's councillors that have awarded to me. So it's a very insular, inward thing. It doesn't mean anything, really. In the medieval days, you were able to have a licence you could then trade in the city.
Without having to pay and go in and out.
That's right, you could trade if you wanted to, and that made you very, very rich. Nowadays, it's honorary. And when I was made a Freeman of the City of London, which was more of an honorary position, they said I could take my sheep across the bridges and dig up the local parks for peat. And peat, of course, was fuel. So you were, with a licence to trade, you had loads and loads of money, and you had freedom to do what you wanted, and you had fuel for the rest of your life. So it's just an anachronism left over, but I take it very seriously, and my fellow councillors did, and it was a very interesting day.
So, well, we can tell us more about the day in a minute, but this is what they've awarded you, this amazing picture, I don't know what you call it, really, what would you call it?
A scroll, actually.
Scroll.
It's got my family crest on it. Of course, in Portsmouth, we all have family crests. And I had to dig it out and find what it was, and the city crest, my Freedom of the City of London crest as well. It's a rather nice thing to look at, but the words are important. The words outline why the City Council feel I deserve the honour, and that Gunwharf was a good example. I was the Chairman of Economic Development. I called together a few people. We dreamt up an idea for money from the government to celebrate the millennium. The idea we eventually came up with after a long night of drinking and eating was like Brighton lanes, but a more modern design, based upon South African design as well, and outlet shops, which I knew nothing about at the time, but they told me outlet shops were much better than the twee curiosity shops in Brighton. And we put in a bid to the government. Virginia Bottomley, then the Secretary of State for Culture, she thought it was a great idea, and said to the City Council, we'll go and do it. That's when the difficulty came, and we built Gunwharf and the Spinnaker Tower, and now I'm really grateful because we started it off. It's changed the image of Portsmouth from a sleazy dockyard town to a go-ahead place you want to visit, and I'm really pleased with that. That one thing.
But before you move on to your next thing,
others.
In terms of the Spinnaker Tower, I mean, of course, that's an incredible thing because only last year there was a massive millions of pound investment from Emirates, which brought money into the town.
Yes, rather ruined the tower, I think, but hopefully when the 5 years is up, we can get it back to white again, I hope. But yeah, the money, we need the money. The City Council is run by the Conservatives, and I have a great sympathy for them. With the government we've got, the austerity is biting, and they have to get money. So I'm glad in a way that the Gunwharf and the Spinnaker Towers helped us fill the coffers. The other issue, a main one, apart from the Tour de France and the Great South Run, which I brought to Portsmouth, is the ferry port. When I was Lord Mayor in 1990, the council wanted to sell off the ferry port to Southampton, who would have closed it down. I was Lord Mayor. We cast our votes and it broke even. And as Lord Mayor, I had to cast my vote one way or the other. Being a Labour Member of Parliament, of course, I acted in a non-political way and voted against privatisation. The ferry port stayed in our hands, and since that date, we've at least £100 million more in our coffers from the ferry port than we would have done had we sold it. So I'm quite chuffed with that one.
But I mean, the nice thing is that it was your councillor colleagues who knew that you, basically how much effort you've put in, what you need to do to be a councillor and all that kind of, which is amazing. But you said to me earlier that this freedom in the city isn't just for you, it's for someone else as well.
Oh, Phyllis, yes. My wife has always been with me. I made a joke that she was the bog-off Freeman, buy one, get one free. She's been with me, well, we've been together for 56 years. And throughout that, she's also been a councillor, and she was my Lady Mayoress. She's always at all the functions. A lot of members of the council go to functions on their own. They don't take their wives, but Phyllis is always with me, keeping an eye on me, of course. Has kept me on the straight and narrow.
I'm sure not.
And she's been a very strong civic person throughout her life, and it's mentioned on the scroll. I'm pleased with that, yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing it with us. It's a fantastic honour, and obviously one well deserved.
And to cap it all, meeting you. Thank you.
Look, comparison to comparison.